So today we're diving into what is, I think, one of the most dramatic transformation stories out there. It's the story of Julian Mantle.
Oh, it's an incredible story. This guy was the absolute definition of, high-stakes success,
Yeah.
a star lawyer. We're talking $3,000 suits, a red
A
Ferrari.
whole 9 yards, but that life, it literally just collapsed. I mean, he was working these insane 18-hour days, and it all culminated in a massive heart attack.
Right there in the courtroom, mid-trial. It's like a movie.
It is.
And it was really the ultimate price for that kind of obsession. He'd reached the peak professionally, he had all the wealth, but the toll was it was catastrophic. At 53, he looked 70.
Wow.
Yeah, his health was gone, his personal life was shattered. He had everything the world tells you is success, but, well, nothing that actually mattered.
And what he did next it's just wild. He completely liquidates his life.
Everything.
Yeah.
The mansion, the
Yeah.
private jet, even a racehorse.
And that iconic red Ferrari, he sells it all for what he called an odyssey of the self and just
Yeah.
vanishes.
Into the Himalayas.
Yeah.
And he wasn't just, taking a break. He was really searching for something fundamental. He eventually finds these great sages of Savannah.
And the change it's unbelievable. He comes back years later, and he genuinely looks like he's in his mid-30s. He's just radiating this calm, this vitality.
It's almost unsettling how different he is.
Totally. So he returns with what's called the Savannah method, and that's our mission for you today. We want to distill the absolute core of that method, the principles, the rituals that allowed this renewal. This is the roadmap he brought back.
Okay, so Julian's very first teaching, it's a prerequisite, really, for the entire journey. He starts with this famous full cup analogy.
Right. And it's so direct. His assistant, John, is there, and he's understandably skeptical about all this.
As you would be.
For sure. And Julian just starts pouring water into a glass that's already full, and he just keeps pouring until it's spilling all over the table.
It's such a simple but powerful point. It's the essential starting point for any learner, right? You just cannot absorb new wisdom if your cup is already brimming with old ideas, with your own cynicism.
You have to consciously empty it first.
You have to. You have to approach it with an open mind to really receive the kind of change he's offering.
So once that cup is empty, the focus shifts immediately inward to what he calls the garden of the mind.
And he's adamant about this. The mind is a spectacular, lush garden. And your first duty, your first step to self-mastery is to guard it ferociously.
Because the biggest contaminant is worry.
Exactly. Worry. The sages had this incredible metaphor. In their ancient language, the symbol for worry is almost identical to the symbol for a funeral pyre.
Wow, that's dark.
But it's so accurate. The idea is that worry doesn't solve a thing. It just burns away your precious mental energy, your focus.
Okay, but that sounds great in theory. For anyone managing, a complex job or a family, isn't some level of what you might call worry actually just necessary planning? How do you square that with this idea that you can't afford a single negative thought?
And that's the crucial distinction. The sages aren't asking for some kind of, blind, unrealistic positivity. They're talking about your internal attitude.
I see.
Planning is constructive. It's using your mind to deal with future risks. Worry is just dwelling. It's getting stuck on negative outcomes you can't immediately change, and it paralyzes you. Julian learned that we have absolute dominion over our core mental state.
And that the external world just reflects our internal one.
Precisely. If you plant seeds of fear and doubt, you're going to harvest a life of stress.
That really challenges how we even think about stress. We see it as this purely destructive force.
And Julian completely reframes it. Stressful events aren't negative experiences. They are opportunities. Opportunities for growth, for self-mastery.
Like the Chinese character for crisis.
Exactly. It combines danger and opportunity. It's the perfect symbol. Yogi Raman taught him that pain isn't something to run from. Pain is a teacher. You can't truly appreciate the mountaintop if you've never been in the deepest valleys.
Yeah.
So once the mind is clear, the garden is tended, then you get to the next stage, which is activation. Now that you have this clear space, how do you use that energy to build something?
And this is where he brings in the concept of the blueprint. The core idea is simple, but it's pretty revolutionary. Everything is created twice.
First in the mind, then in reality.
You have to design the life you want internally before you can possibly build it externally.
Exactly. And that means you have to let go of the past. Forget the baggage of who you think you are, and dare to visualize something greater than your current circumstances. Your self-image dictates everything.
And this isn't a one-and-done thing. It's a relentless daily commitment. And he uses the symbol of a sumo wrestler for it.
Which represents Kaizen. It's a Japanese philosophy meaning constant, ongoing, small-scale improvement.
Constant improvement.
Right. Kaizen is the engine here. It prevents burnout, and it ensures you're developing holistically. Julian learned that true success means cultivating what he calls the trilogy of gifts.
Mind, body, and soul.
All together. If you only focus on your career, the mind, but you neglect your health, the body, and your relationships, the soul, you just end up right back where Julian started. Rich, powerful, and totally empty.
And there's that great example of breaking self-imposed limits with the push-ups.
Oh, yeah?
Julian makes his assistant John do push-ups. John hits his perceived limit at 23. He says, "I'm done."
I can't do any more. And with just a little external pressure, he manages 10 more.
10 more.
The lesson from Yogi Raman is so clear. The only limits are those you place on yourself. When we say we've hit a wall, it's almost always a psychological wall, not a real physical one.
So it's about pushing past that initial "I can't" feeling.
Consistently. That's how you tap into reserves you didn't even know you had.
Yeah.
It's about rewriting the mind's story about what's possible.
Which applies directly to something like fear. Julian doesn't see fear as part of us, but as a mental monster.
Or a negative current of consciousness. Basically, it's a conditioned response that's snuck into your mental fortress.
And how do you destroy it?
Through radical exposure. If you fear public speaking, the sage's advice isn't to think about it. It's to go sign up for 20 conferences. Wow. The more you do the thing you fear, the less power it holds. It's active behavioral reprogramming. You conquer your fears, you conquer your life. It's that direct.
Okay, the philosophy is compelling, but the question is always about application. How do you take these big ideas and, make them work on a Tuesday morning?
And that is the real beauty of the Savannah method. It's highly, highly ritualized. Julian is so clear, this is not a quick fix.
Right.
You have to commit at least 1 hour every single day for 30 consecutive days. He sees it as this fundamental investment in yourself.
He has that great line, arguing you don't have time for self-renewal is like saying you don't have time to get gas because you're too busy driving.
The pit stop is mandatory if you want the car to keep running.
Okay, so let's get into the techniques. The first one for mental focus is called the heart of the rose.
It's a concentration exercise. You just gaze at the center of a fresh rose for 20 minutes a day. You focus entirely on its texture, its color, its form.
And you don't let a single distracting thought in.
Not one.
20 minutes of pure, uninterrupted focus. That seems almost impossible today with all the digital noise. Why is that specific exercise so powerful?
It's a foundational discipline builder. Our minds are always multitasking, which really means we're just context switching at high speed, and it's exhausting. The rose exercise forces the mind to practice single tasking.
I like his analogy of sunlight.
That's perfect. Scattered sunlight is harmless, but when you focus it through a magnifying glass onto one point,
It ignites the paper.
exactly. When you learn to focus your mental power like that, you can achieve those deep work states. You get that focused ignition.
Okay, so once you build that concentration, the sages move to creative visualization. They call it the secret of the lake.
Right. You imagine the surface of a still lake reflecting a clear sky, and you use that mental image as a screen to project your blueprint.
So you're literally seeing yourself succeed.
You are mentally rehearsing. The mind works in images. So if you want to be a more patient parent, you visualize yourself in a tough situation responding with patience and with wisdom. You practice the virtue before you even need it.
Beyond the mental stuff, he has rituals for physical and spiritual health. The first is the ritual of solitude.
Which is just dedicated time in silence and stillness every day. Julian saw that our minds are constantly turbulent, like waves on a lake.
So stillness calms the waves.
It lets the surface become like smooth glass. And from that comes clarity, well-being, and a ton of energy. It's formalized downtime, and it's crucial.
And the counterpoint to stillness is the ritual of early awakening. He suggests 5:30 a.m.
It's not an arbitrary time. The point is that the first 10 minutes of your day set the tone for the rest of it. If you start your day reacting to emails, to the news, you've already lost control.
So you use those first 10 minutes proactively.
For positive actions, gratitude, uplifting music, a quick walk, you are deliberately programming your day for positivity before the world has a chance to interfere.
And finally, the ritual of nourishment. The guy who used to live on steak and cognac is suddenly talking about fresh fruit and vegetables.
Well, Yogi Raman's quote says it all. How you nourish your body, so you nourish your mind. You can't expect peak mental performance if you're running on junk. It creates mental fog. Emotional turbulence, it's a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
So all of these rituals are tools, but tools need a direction. And that direction is symbolized by the lighthouse.
Clear, unwavering purpose, your dharma.
Right. If you haven't defined your personal mission, whether you want to be a great teacher or an artist or an innovator, you're just drifting. You can't hit a target you can't even see.
So satisfaction comes from using your gifts to serve others?
It has to. And that purpose needs to be supported by the next virtue, discipline and willpower. And the symbol for this is the cable. Julian said very dramatically that a lack of willpower is a mental illness.
That's a strong statement. Is that
Oh.
is that maybe a bit harsh? What does he mean by that?
It's definitely provocative. I think it's meant to shock us into realizing how vital self-control is. He's not talking about clinical issues. He's talking about the conscious inability to choose what is right for you long-term over what feels good right now.
And he says willpower isn't something you're born with, it's forged.
Through consistently performing small, difficult acts. That's the cable analogy.
Thin spider webs woven together become a cable stronger than iron.
Exactly. Every time you get out of bed at 5:30 when it's hard, or you choose the apple over the donut, you're weaving one tiny strand. These small daily acts of courage accumulate into immense internal strength.
And that discipline, paradoxically, brings freedom.
The freedom to choose what is truly important over what is merely urgent.
Like if you have a pressing email, but your kid wants to show you a drawing. Discipline lets you prioritize the family relationship, the high-impact thing, over the urgent demand of the inbox.
Which leads perfectly to the gold chronograph, time management. Julian reminds us that time is our most precious, non-renewable asset. It's always slipping away.
And to manage it, he uses the old rule of 20, the 80-20 rule.
It's a life principle. 80% of your fulfillment comes from 20% of your activities. The trick is identifying that 20% self-renewal, time with your family, deep work, and protecting that time ruthlessly.
Because most people spend 80% of their time on low-impact, urgent little things.
Trifles, yeah. So to force that focus, Julian offers this one profound question to ask yourself every morning.
What would you do today if it were your last?
And that question just eliminates all the clutter.
Yeah.
Instantly. You focus on family, on kindness, on savoring the moment. It strips away all the chaos and our tendency to constantly postpone joy.
And this all leads to the ultimate purpose, which is service, symbolized by the yellow roses.
He says the quality of your life just boils down to the quality of your contribution.
And he quotes that beautiful proverb, "The hand that gives roses always retains a little of the fragrance."
The act of giving is inherently rewarding. It changes the giver as much as the receiver.
And we should remember, this intense need to serve was driven by his own deep personal tragedy. He revealed that the breakdown that sent him to Savannah was really rooted in the death of his young daughter years before.
And that just puts the entire journey into a much sharper, more emotional context. His transformation wasn't just about high performance, it was about healing.
He tells John, and by extension all of us, to live the childhood of your children. Don't miss those irreplaceable moments for some fleeting professional win.
His pain became the teacher that led him to find the sages.
So Julian Mantle, this high-octane lawyer, he finds out that the path to self-mastery isn't some huge mystical secret. It's just a synthesis of consistent daily habits.
It's the focus of the rose, the vision of the lake, the commitment of the cable. It's a daily path, built block by block. It's all about Kaizen's small, positive changes applied relentlessly over time.
That's what creates the dramatic results. And he teaches this paradox of happiness, that true, lasting happiness comes from striving toward your dreams.
The realization, yeah. But you cannot postpone your happiness until you get there. You have to notice the diamonds in the road along the way.
Reducing your needs, savoring the simple everyday gifts. That's the key. I mean, if Julian Mantle, this cynical, money-obsessed lawyer, could find this kind of peace and mastery, it really speaks to the potential in all of us.
It really does. The sages believed the ultimate goal is nirvana, a state of profound peace where anything is possible, and you can achieve it without ever leaving the earth. And it all begins with Julian's final provocative thought. He quotes the sages, "What is behind you and what is in front of you matters little compared to what is within you."
The ultimate power is realizing that you are the programmer.
You are the programmer of your own mind and your own destiny. So the question for all of us is, what is the boundless potential waiting inside you that you're just not daring to claim?